Well, the day has finally arrived. We're taking the coupe over to the engineer to have the torsion beam test done. But before we do that, we're going to need the boot to close. G'day guys, welcome to the channel. This is just a little episode on the coupe. We've finally got it booked in to have our engineering done. When I say engineering, I mean I'm going to get the torsion beam test done to test the rigidity and strength of all the modifications that have been done to this body, and that's going to be taking place very soon. So I'm just tying up a couple little loose ends that need to be done before it goes over. One of them being the boot. We need to get it to latch down. And search as I may, I could not find the bracket which goes in here that the boot latch bolts to. So I called up Adam at Southern Classics and Customs in South Australia, and he sent me through this bracket. You can see it here in the raw as it arrived and how it looks now. Just gone ahead and put some epoxy primer on it. And that's what I'm just going to do now. I'm going to go ahead and hopefully mount it in the right place and get the boot to latch down so that we can throw this thing on the trailer, take it to the engineers. Out of it. They are a little bit adjustable, not a huge amount. It's not even down enough. Still got to go down more. Yeah. I wonder if it's this. So I bent that open so I can get my spot welder in. Alright, so played around, did a couple of adjustments. Hopefully I got it in the right place. So I'm going to go ahead and start tacking her in. Definitely, I think I should have used the big spot welder, like for these, but I've gone ahead and drilled the holes now, so may as well just get it done. Alright, so we've got this all tacked in place now. Tacked as in permanently spot welded and tacked and welded, stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and put the latch on. We had a bit of trouble getting it to close before, but I'm hoping it was because I had this this channel opened up in order to get the spot welder in there. So we've folded that back over, and yeah, we'll find out. That's it. Closes, but not adjusted right. You can see it sitting up. So these are not matched anyway. One of the issues I've got with the car now is fine tuning some of this bodywork. Like, this was not a complete car, there was just an assembly of pieces, you know, virtually. As far as the back end goes, that quarter panel is off a totally different car to the boot's off a different car to that quarter panel, and none of it's really matching from a bodywork point of view. So it's just going to take a little bit of finessing. But as far as how it looks right now, I think I can bring that latch down probably about 4 mil. Alright, let's see. It's a little better, but did I just do that again? Oh my god, life's so difficult. Can you see it? Oh, cheers, mate. That was a bit of fine adjustment on the sideways. It's not bad. A bit tight on this side though. And it still needs to go down. But I swear to God I did it again. Yeah. I think I might have to leave it there because there's just a lot of playing around needed, and this quarter panel is so off. See what I'm trying to do? See that line, the bottom line of that boot? I want that to line up with that line there. I'm not even interested in the top as much as I am in that line. See, so I need to have them about there. It's literally 2 to 3 mil. Yeah, it'd be 2 to 3 mil. Oh, got it. Well, there you go. Like I said, all you got to do is move it up 2 or 3 mil and your problem's solved. I can did it again. God, I think I need to put a key on the back of this thing.
Same too, both sides will look like.
Yeah, they're right, yeah. So I know this is all goofed up here, but this is my starting point. I want to get this right, and then I'll work on this later. You know, what I do.
Hinge play as well, by playing with the hinges at all?
No, because see, it's all right up there where the hinges are. It's just here. Yes. And it could be because of the boot skin. Like, this is a brand new boot skin. Right, it's beautiful. It's beautiful boot skin by Southern Classics and Customs, but it's a new boot skin on the old frame, and I'm just going to have to just work at it and sort of, because see, even just feeling that, I can actually feel it kind of come up a little. So I might have to just hammer and dolly and sand this edge. This is not like, if there's any problem here, it's not because of the boot skin. It's just how I've gone about fitting it. And I think what's happening, I think it's actually kind of jumping up. So I can actually probably hammer and dolly this. There's still a little difference here. But yeah, some of that is probably can be fixed with a hammer and dolly. This side's the same, so I'm not too worried about it. Job done, I reckon. So we could probably now just go ahead and get this thing ready to get on the trailer, you know. Yeah. Is there anything else I want to do? I think that's about it. I don't know why I've always got to do everything the hard way. It's just like totally the wrong trailer. It's like if you could go out and say, listen, can you go and find me the worst trailer for the job, the most difficult trailer for the job, and it's like, voila, there you go.
Here it is.
Here it is, yeah.
Yeah, you look good. Going to drop a bit in a second when you drop off the timbers. Right about a little bit further and you'll drop off the timber.
It'll be fine.
Yeah. Cool, there it is.
It's the first time this thing's been up on a trailer since it was modified. So for me it's quite a sight. Yeah, can't wait to have this thing going down the road. Oof. Cool. This back in. I love how this back end turn. You can see it's already, I've welded, you know, bits of rod and stuff to the chassis. From the IRS to the chassis, and that's just to take out any movement while it's undergoing the torsion beam test. But yeah, it looks mad. Alright guys, so the day's come. We're about to take this XB over to the engineer and get the torsion beam test done. So first time it's been out in the daylight for a while. Excuse the bodywork, we're not at the bodywork stage yet, and we still have to do a fair amount of work just on that boot alignment. But yeah, it's going to be good to get this part of the journey out of the way. So we'll start heading over. Alright, so we're at Cons now to get ready for the beam test, and just getting it up on the hoist. What do you got to do on the hoist, Con? You got to just get all your...
Quick lift over.
Oh, okay, yep.
And, pull the wheels off and basically mount it to the jig.
Yep, cool.
The wheels come off. You've already made the suspension solid, which is helpful.
Yeah, I hope I've done it okay.
It'll be fine. If you bend those, we've got big problems.
Okay. I reckon your diff looks alright.
I think it's looking good. It's good to see it in place.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty cool, clear caterpillar. Looks like it belongs, doesn't it?
It kind of does, doesn't it? A little bit of persuasion. Minus 200 mil out of everything.
200 mil.
That's it.
What this all in, it looks like it's meant to be.
Yeah, I think you know that, yeah. So this is to anchor the back of the car to the ground, I take it?
The mobile torture chamber.
Gonna put her on the rack, eh? Right for clearance over there, Con?
Yep, fine over here. Stop.
So this little thing measures the weight that you're putting on it.
The scale.
Yeah.
Sorry to lift it back.
So that's our original test.
That's our original test. Back when was it? A couple of years ago.
Yeah, it must be close to 2 years. Probably not quite.
Which wasn't too bad for a standard car. Had our typical droop here at the firewall.
Oh yeah.
Standard Falcon spec. Falcon Mustang. Well, a lot of cars actually.
Oh okay.
Typically, if we're going to have a bit of a droop.
So how do you expect this one to go, like on terms of, you know, the rise of the graph? Do you expect it to be sort of more of a flatter? Or?
So the way the rules are, the reason we do a baseline test is because as per VSB 14, they ask for anything better than this.
Yeah, cool.
So the fact that we've done a baseline on a standard car, which shows that the standard car's actually got a dip at the firewall in this case. If we were to redo this test on the modified car and it still had this shape where it still had a dip at the firewall, technically it would be acceptable as far as the rules are concerned. If we're just purely looking at the rule book, if we had this exact graph, you know, just slightly higher, or as long as we didn't droop under that, we would technically pass.
Yep.
But
let's
not aim for 50%.
Yeah.
So
Let's fingers crossed it's going to be a lot better.
I'm quietly confident.
Good. When the engineer's quietly confident, we're all filled with confidence.
Maybe don't film that until the end. Don't play that till the end.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do editing.
So just looking back at our old test, all our gauge positions have been the same. The amount of load applied is going to be the same because we want to make a direct comparison. So it should be relatively straightforward. That's all our figures. Once we get all our figures, we're going to need to go back and work backwards and make our graph. But in saying that, we should get a good idea of where we're at just purely by comparing numbers. So
Okay.
fingers crossed.
Rightio. So how do you actually get the graph? Do you have to have sensors on the car, or?
So we run like a digital indicator,
Oh.
6 down each side.
Okay. Yep.
Which is that's what the rules require us to do.
Yep.
So 6 down each side. Once we actually get the results, we do what they call, we reduce results to 0. So it's basically a mathematical process we go through to remove any of the deflection, either in suspension components or in the jig itself. So
Okay.
you're always going to have deflection of some sort.
Yeah.
So we reduce the results to 0, which basically just gives us net results.
Okay.
We place them into the graph and that gives us the graph. So that's the net flex of the body shields.
on the first test.
First test.
That's
so
before we did the modifications.
That's right. So
Yeah.
direct comparison. We're just going to do a dummy test basically. We're going to load the whole system up.
Yep.
Just like the rules and regs ask us to do. We're basically just settling everything in.
Okay.
So still loading up to the same amount as we would if we were doing a proper test.
Right.
We'll just release it and make sure everything returns to 0.
Okay.
Haven't really cracks yet, so I think we're alright.
No cracks? That's a good sign.
It is a good sign.
Yeah.
Alright, 380. We'll release it. Yep. Right, just make sure everything's gone back to 0. $362. Okay.
So that's applying 362 kilos on that outer arm there.
That's right. But it's got a moment arm of 2 meters.
Yep.
Yeah. You can feel it through the crane that it's quite stiff.
And 368.
368. That's enough. 367. Okay. So starting the front.
0.
0.
Yep. Negative 2.65.
Negative 2.65.
Negative 3.8.
Negative 3.8.
Negative 4.65.
Negative 4.65.
Negative 5.75.
5.75.
Negative 4.45.
Okay. No, that's right. Yep. Yep.
0.1.
Yep.
0.05.
Yep.
0.1.
Yep.
0.05.
Yep.
0.05.
Yep.
0.
So we're just going to do a torsion now.
So we're looking fairly good, Con.
We're looking good so far. I mean,
Great.
Last time we did this, we just had a solid axle and leaf springs in the rear end. So
Yeah.
I think from memory, we actually welded a bit of box tube from the diff housing up to the rail, so we had virtually no deflection.
That's
The
right.
Suspension whatsoever.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Obviously, with the type of multi IRS and this thing, so every bush has got a little bit of deflection there, which adds up. So,
Yeah.
but looking at the numbers, yeah, just briefly looking at them and comparing to the original numbers, it looks like we're looking good.
Great.
Definitely stiffer. Like I said, I could feel it even from lifting the crane. You could see it wasn't budging much as such.
Yeah.
So,
So like you say, any deflection is mainly limited to those suspension components.
that's right, which will reduce to 0
Okay.
in our calculations.
Okay. So you just got to punch all the info into your computer and
Pretty much.
print out a graph and cool. Okay. All right, guys, so we're just in Con's office here, and I know that this is probably going to be a little hard on the eyes because we're under fluoro lights and it's probably going to be flickering because we're looking at a computer screen, but there's the graphs before and after. I'll let Con explain it.
Okay, so we've obviously taken our results we've reduced them to 0, and this is our final graph. So the dotted line you see here and here is our previous test. So it was basically the exact same car prior to any modifications.
So that was a basic Falcon 500 coupe.
Basic Falcon 500 coupe. We obviously Tom's done a massive amount of modification to this thing since, which is why we needed to do this second test. The first test is basically a baseline to show us what a standard coupe is. So in reality, any improvement on this is acceptable. In theory, even if it was exactly the same, it's acceptable because we haven't, reduced the car's torsional or beaming, capabilities. So here we've basically it's blown us out of the water. So you can see there's a massive difference in here. So we're looking here at the torsion test, which is a lower graph here.
So that's how many degrees the car will twist?
That's right. So each one of these numbers here is the dial indicators we had down the side of the car. So starting from number 1, which was the rear of the vehicle. So the rear of the vehicle was fixed to the ground, which is why we reduced that to 0. So basically it did not move. As we go forward, we come to the front. So they're the dial indicators up on the side here. That's a scale of degrees of twist. So basically our original, to keep it simple, basically our original test, the car twisted, say, just on 1 degree, round figures, with the exact same amount of torque applied, which was
360?
Was 362 kilos. That results with a 2 meter moment arm, 7,103 newton meters. So that's what we applied to the car in both tests. So you can see the drastic improvement, which is this orange line here. So we spoke about the little dip before. I was quietly hoping that it would disappear, but it's still there, but very much reduced, which is very good to see. But the overall, we've got rid of this dip here, which is near the back. So number 1 here was basically above the rear axle chassis rail. Number 2 is just in front of the chassis rail. So one of the main reasons I was interested in this area is because we've actually got some modifications on that rear rail in that area.
Yeah.
So there's a modification between 1 and 2,
yeah,
which is a slight raise in the rail. Clearly we can see from the graph that it's actually more level than what it was originally. So we've actually got a more linear and less flex in that area than what we did originally. So that's really good to see there. Our graph is beautiful and linear all the way up to here. Obviously, here we are. We touched on that before, like I said. A huge majority, or I should say every single car that we've done a torsion beaming test on generally has a weak spot in that area.
That's the firewall.
That's the firewall. So that's firewall and that's the front axle. Look, it's a weak area purely because it's empty. So
yeah,
you've basically got 2 rails hanging out and
nothing over the top kind of thing.
Nothing over the top. I guess the whole engine bay is empty because you need that space for an engine. A lot of that area in there, so from firewall back, is where the Mustang floor pan now resides.
Yeah.
So that's good to see that it's one thing to modify a car for the sake of modifying it, but it's actually made an improvement here.
So it's a stronger car.
It's a stronger car. I'm not sure if we noted before that you can visually see inside. I mean, just the size of the tunnel on the Mustang floor pan must make a significant difference. Definitely to the beaming test.
Oh yeah.
So that's really good to see that, yes, we've made a modification to the rear rails and it's actually improved the characteristics of it, of the original body shell. Then, like I said, keeps a linear line through there, which is really good to see because basically from number 5 through to number probably 3, that's where the new Mustang floor pan is. We've still got that dip, but it's actually greatly reduced. So you can see the difference in steepness between these lines and our new graph here. So even though it is still there, very acceptable because look how far below the original line we are. So overall, we've actually improved torsion rigidity of this thing by 60%. So
60%.
overall, we've got 0.2 degree of twist. Obviously, with a lot nicer linear graph to here, a lot less of a dip. whereas we originally were up near 1 degree. So with the exact same test repeated, the gauge is in the exact same position, exact same torque applied to the car. So really good, really happy with that.
Cool.
We'll just quickly go to the
beaming test.
test, which is a relatively basic test. We load the car up with the equivalent of 65 kilos per occupant plus 15 kilos per occupant of luggage.
Yeah.
So you can see here again, huge. I personally think two things. So the floor pan, the Mustang floor pan with that real tall tunnel, I think helped a lot here, but also those sill panels that have been added to it. I mean, they're almost twice the height, and the original sill panel is still actually in there.
Yeah, the original sill panel is hidden inside the modification, so we didn't change it. We basically boxed around it.
Yes.
And so because the Mustang inner sill is so much deeper than the Falcon, it dropped down 40 mil below the bottom of the Falcon sill. And so I had like a Z panel type plate that went in, which basically joined the two together, and then it had a new skin put on the outside, so the sill is 40 mil lower than stock.
Yeah, so clearly we can see the results of that. So those sill panels plus that tunnel have built quite a stiff bridge.
Yeah, definitely. So pretty pleased with those results.
It's over the moon. It's good, like I said, it's good to, it's all well and good to modify a car, but you want to see the results. You don't want to modify it for the sake of modifying it.
100%.
So to actually see it, see it with your own eyes.
See it in a graph. The figures don't lie.
It's easy for everybody to look at that and see the difference. It's a visual. You don't need to be technically minded. It's there in front of you, and over the moon. Actually,
awesome.
Really happy.
No, awesome. Well, thanks very much, Con. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
It's been a good day. Been looking to it for a while, so that's another milestone for this particular car, and can't wait for the next stage. So, all right, guys, that's a wrap for this one, and have to say, really high note to end the day on. Came here, for the testing. I knew it would be stronger than it was originally, but to be honest, a 60% improvement on stock. That's awesome. Can't say better than that. So thanks again to Con at Carcraft Engineering over here at Blacktown, and just about to head off. Got this thing all tied down. She's looking lovely, apart from the bodywork, of course. So yeah, all ready to head back to the workshop. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.